Brian and I were done having kids after the girls. And then God blessed us with Brady. And I knew there had to be a reason for him to be brought into the world because I believe in Christ, and I know that he doesn't make mistakes.
This is episode 20 of the UNspecial podcast, and we are honored to have the infamous Captain Brady with us as well. Brady is in my last class when I was a teacher, and Brady and I had just the best time together. That's right. It's always been on my mind to create a space for parents going through the journey of special needs. And I always thought, like, man, other parents need to hear what other parents are doing and going through just to inspire and kind of bring some hope, and everyone can learn from each other. So It's been amazing. And I know you guys have had a little bit of challenge with the transition to adult life. So we'll get into that a little bit and how that went down. But tell me about yourself. Where are you at? What's the scoop on the Scrimshers?
Oh, gosh. My name's Tamara. Brian and I have been married 34 years now, almost 35.
Wow.
We have 3 kids. We have 2 older daughters, Bailey, which you know, and then our middle child, Darby. And then we got Braid here, our little surprise. But yeah, we have 5 grandchildren, and we enjoy summer. Is our favorite season, isn't it, Braid?
Because Brady's driving a boat.
Oh, he loves to drive the boat. Yeah, so
we've been in Sandpoint since 1997. So the girls and Brady were raised pretty much the whole time right here in beautiful Sandpoint, Idaho. Brady and the girls were all involved with everything from the school sports to getting to learn how to ski on the mountain, to water skiing. A lot of memories were made, just the time we've been here. It's been great.
Where are you guys from?
I'm from Colville, Washington, so always born in the Northwest. But
I was born and lived 14 years down out of Lewiston, just south of here, and then got transferred up to the Kettle Falls, Colville area. So I finished high school up there, and that's where I met my lovely wife at, was in Colville.
Oh, nice. Do you both work?
I work for the utilities. Okay. I've been doing the same job for almost 34 years. I take care of all the natural gas stuff, in the North Sandpoint, Waters Ferry, Sandpoint area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the one sending me my bill?
Yes. Or not.
Well, you're also the one who. Yeah. All right. Tell me about Captain Brady a little bit. What's a day in the life of the captain?
Well, all kinds of things, huh, Brian? Go ahead, dear.
I guess depending on what day it is.
True.
So he kind of has a routine, pretty well set.
No way.
Monday through Thursday. Okay. He has an aide that comes to the house, and this aide has been with Brady since he was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And so it's really been a wonderful thing. And Brady and his aide have a really good relationship. And so Chris comes on Mondays and Tuesdays, and a little bit on Wednesdays and Thursdays till about 12:30. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, he goes to Panhandle Special Needs.
Okay.
In Sandpoint here.
Yeah.
And yes, and Kim is his boss. And that relationship is, he loves Kim. So it's like anything else. It takes a while to warm up to it, but he's warmed up to, going to doing his work. And at the facilities, they learn different little skills. He does, sorting papers and shredding papers, and he loves to sort papers and do that kind of stuff. And then the Fridays is kind of his free day, and so he hangs out at home.
Is that with me?
With Mom, yeah. And that could be anything, doing stuff outside to this time of the year. Unfortunately, he likes to watch some different things on our TV, but we monitor what he gets to watch. He loves playing with Legos. I mean, he'll play with Legos for hours. And then when we get into the nice weather, then of course you've heard him talk about boating, and that's how he got the Captain Brady. And he loves summer. He loves warm weather.
No way.
Yeah, no wave.
And then the gas. Yeah, that's the fun part is the gas. So he lives and breathes for summer so he can get on the boat.
Yeah.
He loves
it. After we're done with this, we're going to go outside and shovel snow and get the snow blowers out, and he'll hang out with me. And I think it's great for him to get outside and get some fresh air and a little physical activity. I enjoy hanging out with him.
Yeah. I had a blast hanging out with him in class.
Wow.
All those skills, the shredding paper. He was like my assistant. Anything I needed done, Brady was always on it.
Oh, he loves to do jobs. He loves to help. He likes to be useful. For sure.
Yeah. How old is Brady? How old are you? 20?
22.
22. Wow.
Yeah.
So that was quite some time ago. Even when you were pregnant, did you know something was going on, or is it all after?
I didn't. So Brian and I were done having kids after the girls, and we took the necessary precautions, or Brian did, I should say.
Yep.
Well, clearly that did not work.
Oh,
no. Don't need to get into detail because it just didn't work. And anyway, I found out I was pregnant. It was something I didn't want to do. I had come to terms with, I was done having kids. I was happy with that. We loved our our little threesome family. And then God blessed us with Brady. And I knew there had to be a reason for him to be brought into the world, because I believe in Christ, and I know that he doesn't make mistakes. So that was a hard time for me being pregnant. And I would say it took about 40 weeks for me to come to terms with it, to be quite honest. It was very depressing. I was very sad. I wanted to be joyful because I know God doesn't make mistakes, but it was difficult. And he was born, and right after he was born, he had complications and all that. It all went out the door. It was like, save my baby. I mean, I had so much love for him, and all that doubt and all that, everything was just gone because maybe I'm going to lose him right now. And it was very terrifying. And I knew right away, he had some breathing problems and feeding problems. And at 3 months old, we had him in-home therapies because he wasn't meeting milestones, and just lots of doctor's visits and trying to figure things out. And there was no diagnosis. Nobody could come up with why, there was no syndrome or anything like that. And to be honest with you, I'm glad we didn't get an actual diagnosis, because I think that just kind of puts a person in a box.
Yeah.
And with Brady, it was, okay, let's figure this out. Let's treat the symptoms. But it was very difficult, to be honest.
I can imagine. What was it like for you, Brian? I'm super excited that you're on the podcast. It's hard to get some of the husbands or dads on as well. So your perspective. What was that?
I echo a lot of the stuff that Tamara just said. We were, done. We had, two beautiful girls. We kind of, you always have a plan in the back of your mind how you're going to do, how you expect things to go. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, and you never know what the reason is. But at the same, you have to embrace it, accept it, and I think if you don't embrace it, you don't accept it, it just, you're going to eventually do it. But the sooner you can do it, the more you can start to, I guess, come to terms and find the brighter side of things.
Yeah. How about now, like 22 years later, looking back, do you have some clarity in that, or some of those?
Oh yeah, I definitely the terms I've come terms with that long time ago. I look at different things as far as retirement or traveling, and it's like, what, it's just going to be the three of us. We're going to be doing it together. I just want to make him comfortable and let him feel that he's He's always welcome. He has great, sisters and, family that, enjoy spending time with him. Just make him be part of the family.
Yeah. It's that common phrase, like, what you resist persists. The longer you resist something, it gets you in the mindset, and it seems like it prolongs it more. What was there any like situation that helped you come to terms? I know a lot of the listeners, are still early on in the phase and learning about their child, and it kind of there's a big denial period. Was there anything that helped you overcome that, or support group, or?
I look at what Brady's able to do versus someone else that, they maybe can't do the snowshoeing or the different things, and think, well, you know what? I'm very, I'm fortunate that he can go outside and he can walk, he can, hike, he can still do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember in class when I was still trying to figure him out, and something happened, and it like hit me like Brady is very smart, and he knows everything that's going on in here. And it helped me to program like his schedule, because it was like, all right, we're going to push you because you've let me in a little bit and you've shown me what you can do. So now we can start capitalizing on it. I had a buddy call me the other day, and he's like, if you could throw up all of your problems and everybody else's problems or challenges, good chance is you would catch your own, because it's easy to compare to other people's situation. But then when you really like look at it, you're like, okay, just having that mindset of focusing on the positive. How was it with family or friends when they found out everything that was going on with Brady, and like family get-togethers and stuff? Was there any kind of like pushback or acceptance?
No, there really wasn't. Again, I just think it was a God thing. I really do. I believe wholeheartutely. Even back then, I was of the mindset of, okay, why did this happen? Why me? Why us? Of all people on this universe, why us? We were done having kids. We took the precautions not to have any more children. Thought we were being responsible in that. And so early on, it was just a question of why and all that. And it just all circled back to he was meant to be. He was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. And 7'7" is the number of perfection. So just these little nuggets that I would pull from the Bible, it was like, okay, he was meant to be. So back to your question, though, family was so supportive. I mean, like overly supportive almost. And of course, his sisters, I couldn't have done it without them.
I mean, we share a lot of the same mindsets. And one of our core values at UNspecial is that every child was born with a purpose, for a purpose, and has a purpose. I think it's easy to get away from that.
And I really am trying to think of somebody, since you've asked the question, somebody that was kind of standoffish about it. And there really wasn't. I think maybe I was more standoffish and more on edge. Like, is he bugging them? Is he irritating so-and-so? I just felt like I needed to be more a hover parent. And early on, I figured people would say, he's fine. He is great. We love Brady. And so I think being told that time after time after time, which I still need to be told that, to be honest with you, I'm starting to believe people that he's fine. He's not a problem. He's not a burden on anybody. So,
right. I think once people can get away from a lot of people are just uncomfortable because they haven't been around anybody with unique needs or whatnot. But once they get past it and they start to see the individual for the individual, then they realize like they're such a blessing and they're so funny. That's what I like. I just love being around. That's why I got into teaching, because they just do what they do, and it's hilarious. You mentioned you had services for Brady early on.
I think it was great. I mean, when he was 3 months old, we had in-home services. Wow. They'd come over and work with him, his muscular situation, and fine motor skills and stuff like that.
Right.
But then when he was 3, he would do outside services, or started to do outside services. And like Brian said, that's where we were introduced to somebody that's incredibly special to our family, a gal named Chris. And so she was invaluable in our family, and still is to this day, because she's got a special needs son herself.
Yeah, okay.
And so she passed on her knowledge to us.
Definitely. How do you guys best communicate with Brady? Even though we all know he knows what's going on.
Just talk to him like normal.
But yeah.
And he gets it. Like you said, he gets it. He knows what you're saying.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
I read something interesting today about apraxia, and it's essentially just the mind-body disconnect, and that's like the biggest thing that I think people need to see is they think that they don't know what's going on, but it's just their mind's not sending the message to their body to react.
Right. That was described to me like a ball of yarn that gets totally discombobbled, and that's his brain. He can take the information in, but trying to sort through that maze to then get it out to what he's trying to say is very, very difficult for him.
What was it like school in services at school? Even early on.
I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you. It did start out kind of rough, because here I have friends with typical children, and they're putting their kids in, these preschools and stuff like that. And you know what? We're just going to treat Brady the same. Let's get him into a preschool. Let's just integrate him into life, because that's just how Brian and I are. We just integrate, man.
Yeah.
Just go in there and do it. That's easier said than done. At that time, there was no special needs placed preschool for kids to go. And so, I talked to different places, and we got him into this one school, but we got kicked out. He learned his very first word, which is going to blow your mind what his very first word was: purple.
Huh.
It wasn't mom, wasn't dad, it was purple. The girls went to the school here called Washington Elementary. Loved that Mr. Berryhill was the principal there. And I have to say, I'm not even going to say her name. I can't even remember her name, to be honest with you. You'd think it would burn into my skull, but she was not incredibly helpful. She wanted Brady out of there because they didn't have, in my opinion, she wanted him out of there. I'll say it like that. Every IEP that we went to, they're trying to get him to move to this centralized school for special needs that's here in town. And I went and visited. I tried to make the leap. It's like, okay, they're telling me this is the best place for Brady to go. I went and visited, and my spidey sense, I didn't like it. I just knew this wasn't the place for Brady. They have to let you stay within your district, or your, what do they call it, your neighborhood school. So they couldn't technically kick us out and go, there, but you had to fight for it. And that's where I had some gals that were advocates for us and knew more about the IEP system than I did. So I was very blessed to have those people in my world. And then going into junior high was another challenge. They did the best they could, I suppose, but yeah, it was challenging.
What would you the biggest issue with the special ed system?
I lack of empathy for what a parent might be going through. They're just shuffling the kids through. They're following the rules they have, the little bullet points that I don't know who made these bullet points, because it sure wasn't a parent. They have to do this, they have to do that. Well, what if that doesn't fit with every single special needs kid?
Yeah, I think parents definitely need to feel empowered to speak up in the meetings. And Brady went to high school, which is where I met him. How was the high school life?
honestly, but there were other people that cared. Like you were a godsend to Brady at that time. You really were. And to us too, because we could send him to school knowing that we're not going to get a call every 10 minutes, your son did this, your son did that. And I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I saw this school calling and I thought, deal with it because I am not coming. You know what?
Yeah.
If he pinched somebody or he screamed or yelled or whatever, just deal with it. I have to deal with it all the time. Just deal with it. And so I will be honest, I would not answer the phone probably half the time because I got calls constantly.
Really? I remember having that conversation with you early on.
Sure.
Well, no, I remember they were telling me to call home or call you because he pinched someone. I don't know what happened, but I was like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, this is our job. We teach a life skills class. Like, this is going to happen. And I remember, I think I saw you after school and I was like, hey, he did this. Do you want me to call you when he does this thing? And then you were like, no,
please don't call me.
Yeah. But for me, it was like perfect because I don't want to call the parents. Like, yeah.
Another thing, I wish for male students, I wish there was more male teachers.
Yeah.
You were an anomaly. You really were. And he loves his girls, but having a male student or a male teacher was outstanding. I was sad that you left. I was, to be honest with you, I was devastated. It's like, here we go. But I
tried. They just don't pay anything up there.
I know.
I tried side hustles and I just couldn't make it work.
No,
and
totally
then they were asking me to stay. I'm like, I don't want to leave, but I need to feed my family. And I was like, just pay me more. And they're like, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah. You know what? That's the sad part because they do get money from these kids. They get extra money. Hopefully that will change soon.
From high school to, well, he went from high school and now he's 22. So he's aged out of the district services.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then Brian, I did the paperwork for the first 20 years of his life. And now Brian did the adult service stuff. Yeah. So he is the expert on that. I gave up. I said, I'm done. Help.
Yeah. Was it hard to navigate all that?
Well, as far as, one of the things I always thought of, it's a good day when he gets brought home on the bus. That meant someone not going to go pick him up at school. So he left the house on the bus. He got brought home on the bus, and I thought that was a good day.
Great mindset. We just real quick, my first year teaching, I was getting in the interview and the principal was like, why should I hire you? And I was like, because you're never going to hear from me. And then he was like, hired.
That's awesome.
And so I went through that VR services, did all the paperwork and that, and then it just kind of, it did move real fast. And that was his year right before he graduated. So I did it in the summer right after, I think it was in May before he actually got out of school. One of the things that happened was the person he was working with was no longer there. So that was part of the reason, I couldn't ever get a hold of him. We had a communication and emails for a while, and then it just went cold. But at the same time, I just knew that when he was working, it was always hard to get a hold of him too. It was just, late responses and things like that. So Brady's out of school. He did have an aide that was able, to be at the house, throughout the day. Well, it come to a point where his aide, just unfortunately, they don't pay a lot of money. Even the poor aides don't get a lot of money, and so she just, had to do something, different, as far as on the financial side of it, which made sense. So I left Brady with nobody during the days, which wasn't a big, it's just, Tamara works, just a couple days, but she didn't have to work. And so she's here all week, pretty much available. So I had talked to Pisney earlier when he was still in high school, because he used to go down there with his aide Chris, and so they kind of knew who Brady was and that. So went down there and got a meeting with him, and so basically just started doing all the paperwork, starting with the meetings. His service coordinator had to do some stuff, and Tamara was just trying to update her the best I could, and then it took about 2.5 months, and was able to get accepted into Pisney in a couple of years ago. And so, anyway, I say you just have to stay with it. Just understand that things don't move as fast as what you like to move, because they're not just working with you; they're working with several other people. But it's been I say that it was a challenge, but it went pretty smooth.
Okay. So really,
wow. But
wow.
But I say there's several challenges once the student hits 18. Technically, you have your rights have been taken away from you. Transfer, making decisions. So, Tamara and I, we went through the stages. We had to, get a servitor guardianship, and so did all that. And that, like I say, that takes a little bit of time.
Huge process.
Oh, a very huge process. Everything gets, from background checks, fingerprinting.
So there's options of how to go about it, and there's easier ways. We chose to go this way because it's just the most sense for us, and we have a family certified home, and so
that's another process.
So there's several processes going on at the same time, and you can choose not to do that, and it makes your life a bit easier. But then you don't get these benefits, or you don't get whatever this is offering. You'll get this. That this isn't bad, but this is better, and we wanted the best for Brady.
Also, another part of it is when they turn 18, is they have to apply for Social Security benefits. He doesn't need Social Security. I mean, but if something was to happen to Tamara and I, he's already got the services in play.
Right.
There is good people there in the system for sure.
So what if you don't do any? What if you don't do any of that? You don't get the benefits?
No, you don't. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just what we were told to do, but that's what Chris did. So we followed her lead. We had Chris and another gal. If she ever watches this, Stacy was she was amazing. Another gal was Kendra. Oh my gosh. I think I mentioned Kendra. She would go to the IEP meetings with me. She was fantastic. We were blessed. So again, that's just God's hand in Brady's life.
And you've put in the effort. Unfortunately, there's a lot of situations that I saw early on. I mean, it could have been the demographic I was teaching in, is that there wasn't much effort. So, but good on you guys.
We're blessed.
Yeah. I switched gears a little bit. You've been married for 34 years. You're an anomaly. Divorce rate with families that have special needs is huge. I mean, divorce rate as it is large, and then I think it's like 30% higher. How have you done it? Staying on the same page? What could
I wouldn't say we're always on the same page.
but you've made it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we were always on the same page.
I
think we've finally gotten to that point of the same page, or we have for years now. But so, I would say that Brian maybe had more challenges with him early on, and I wouldn't say I have more challenges with him now. But I just feel like Brian and I are definitely on the same page. We do things differently a little bit, but we get to the same result that works for us individually, I would say.
Yeah, right. I mean, you'd always say you got to learn to pick your battles.
Well, that too.
And so
that's with a typical kid.
Well,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about like communication? Do you have any system you guys use, or is it kind of just like
System.
you've kind of got it going?
I think the camera does most of the stuff during the week because I'm already gone to work.
He
And so
he gets his point across. Something about Brady that is absolutely amazing, and I don't think it's typical for a non-typical child, is that he didn't get frustrated when we wouldn't understand what he was saying. I mean, he would get frustrated, but he would just almost like, whatever, I give up on you people. You're not getting what I'm saying. But 90% of the time, if it was, I would look to Bailey. Bailey, what is he trying to say? And she would say, I don't know. And I'd look to Darby. Darby, what is he trying to say? Well, like he's trying to say X, Y, Z. It's like, oh, okay. So it was a team effort. It was a family effort, really, to communicate with him. And it kind of is the same thing today. I'll say, Brian, what is he trying to say? Brian watched a show with him. And he's like, oh, he's trying to say this, this, this. It's like, oh, okay. Or Brian will come to me. What's he trying to say? Well, he did this today, so he's trying to tell you about that. So it's a team Scrimsher.
It's off team. What is something like you have two other kids, and I know there could be it could be difficult.
Honestly, Zach, yeah. So I grew up in a household of three. I had two older brothers, and I was the baby. And it was probably a very typical family as far as middle child got forgotten kind of thing. And so my middle brother was, well, let's not even get into that. That's a whole nother podcast. But my older brother, he did his thing. And then, I was the baby. So I was spoiled, I'll be honest. But I knew that I didn't want to do that with my family. I didn't want there to be labels on the kids. I just consciously knew that from the get-go because I didn't like it. I didn't like being the little bratty sister, because that's what I was. I was their little bratty sister. I was very conscious about making them individuals, not a placement in the family.
Totally.
That's just kind of how we structured our family. So as to not leave anybody out, So I hope that answers your question. But
no, yeah. I mean, it's just the awareness you had that could happen.
I think it was. It was just my own childhood made me think, I don't want that for my kids,
Right.
Not that my parents did a bad job. I did not want that for our family.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got 3 questions from our listeners. Okay. Land the plane with these 3 questions.
Okay.
They're curious to know, because context to this first question is, a common just human nature is to focus all on your kid. So they want to know, what do you do for yourself, and how do you build that into your lifestyle so that you can show up 100% for your child?
Honestly, Zach, that's another thing. I knew because I had Chris, I had mentors ahead of me that taught me these things. It's like they did say, you've got to take time for yourself. So I think it's just being told it's okay to go do something without even your husband. My advice to parents, if they're listening to this, is give yourself permission to go to the gym if that's your love. Go get your, I don't know if you're a spa person, go do that, or whatever it may be. Go sit outside in the backyard and read a book. I don't know. Just give yourself that permission to do it. And I have to say, I was able to do that. And Brian allowed that. He would, pick up the slack. And the girls, back to the girls, they were phenomenal. They loved spending time with their brother. I hope I didn't rely on them too much, but I definitely relied on them. I know I did. But they would allow me to go and do XYZ, whatever it is.
Give yourself permission. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to. I don't know why.
I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah. All right. Question 2. Do you have any regrets? or something you would have done
don't
different?
think I regret anything. I think, I just had, had to readjust, rechange, my plans I had in life. And,
Yeah.
Do I regret that I wasn't able to, do this or do that? I couldn't tell you because I didn't get the opportunity to do it. So
Yeah.
it's, so I enjoy the lifestyle I have.
Yeah. Well,
That's
my answer to
awesome.
that is yes, I do have regret. Big regret is not learning patience sooner. And because you get these people, like I said, I had mentors that, telling me things, but I wish I would have learned it sooner. I wish I would have let it sink in sooner that it's okay. You have a special needs son. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to not be perfect. I wish I would have accepted my situation sooner than I did. And I can't tell you exactly when I did accept it fully. I guess it's been a process this whole time. That's it.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that on a couple of podcasts ago, same thing. And how they were saying they missed out on a lot of things because they didn't accept it sooner. All right, last one. What would you, this is just a vague question, you can take it wherever you want. What would you want other parents to know going through the same journey?
Honestly, podcasters, now that you're starting something like this, I wasn't the type of person that wanted to go in and have, kumbaya meetings with strangers. That's just not my thing. But if I knew about this podcast back in the day, I would have gobbled it up and I would have watched it. I'm not even sure how to say it, but I wish I had you back then, or a podcast like yours. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, that's our hope. Just to
this
get
is
people's
phenomenal.
Stories out. Really is what it is.
And if you don't have a mentor, find people like you that are talking to different parents and glean from that. Just glean from other parents, other family members. Watching Bailey's podcast that she did with you, I learned so much from hearing her story. Just hang in there. It's going to be okay. Stand up for yourself, stand up for your kid, and don't give up. Just do not give up. Put one foot in front of the other. You might have 2 steps or 1 step back, but take 3 forward and keep making that move forward, and you'll get to here. I mean, you'll get to where you're supposed to go if you just keep it positive and keep going forward.
I mean, I look at it, there is no roadmap, for your journey. I guess you just have to learn to, ask questions, try to, find people, if you can, glean all the information you can from them. Don't get discouraged.
But
because
if you do, just pick yourself back up. It's going to be okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been discouraged, but at the same time, I know I got to fill out this paperwork. I got to get it done. But and you know what? If you get discouraged, I feel you're entitled to be a little discouraged. Because you're not gonna. It's nothing against the individual that you're trying to help, but it's just you got to deal.
Whoa! Well, you guys are awesome. You're the rock stars. I'd always tell my staff when we'd have tough days or whatever, and they're like complaining, like you guys have no idea what's going on here. Like we're here for 6 hours and we go home.
Yeah,
you have no idea how hard this journey can be, but just hearing your mindset and the permissions you give yourself to be frustrated, to be angry, ask questions, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna keep moving forward, and seeking out those mentors, I think, is a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for coming on. And Brady, so good to see you, buddy.
He sat here the whole time.
I know, you're amazing. Well, awesome. Thanks again so much. This definitely gonna land with a lot of parents. Thanks for just being vulnerable and sharing your story.